Hello and welcome back, everyone, to Legacy of the Void campaign and Rocket Rabbit Commentaries. And in this episode, we'll be getting the best unit in the game after we spend the first half of this part being plot.
Well, we have to have a discussion amongst the council.
He was closer to the truth than I thought. The Xel'Naga did rest here. Had they lived, I think they would have given us their aid, just as Zeratul said.
See, Vorazun can change her opinions on Zeratul.
Much as I hate the bastard, I concede he's right.
Influential in some regards.
Then I will endeavor to give you more of it.
I said some regards, Hierarch. Not all.
She's still hesitant. She's still hesitant, and honestly, that's not a ship I want. To be perfectly honest, I think that Vorazun is better off as a single character. Alright, so we get access to the Iron High Templar or the Dark Archon for the Nerazim. I honestly think that the Dark Archon is the better unit, but if you'll notice, I already happen to have 3 units under Nerazim faction control. Alarak also brought along with him the Vanguard. The Vanguard isn't as good as the Annihilator, so we're not going to run it. So yeah, we're kind of stuck running the High Templar right now. But we also got a bunch of Solarite, and we have another cutscene.
I believe I have found a way to save our people. As Zeratul foresaw, this keystone can indeed be our salvation.
Explain yourself.
Well, it is a key, and our problem is a lock. It will open the lock if you insert it.
After leading them to Ulnar,
well, it has more technobabble than that. To be perfectly honest, if you recall, before we actually set off to Ulnar, Karax mentioned that the keystone showed him that the Xel'Naga were able to translate language, matter, and energy into a single media format.
I see that now.
This is how it cleansed Karax.
Technobabble, right?
We're going to use that technobabble in order to steal Amon away back to the Void.
And then it used that energy to release Amon from the Void. If I can discover how to control the keystone, we could use it to extract Amon from the Kala and save our people.
We're not going to explain the mathematics of this, just know that it can be done.
So what they're saying is that Amon at this point has no form outside of the Protoss
that he's possessing
and the Kala that he's possessing. So once he's rooted out, he has no more hosts in which he can inhabit.
Right.
Interesting.
We got another 15 Solarite. We also, the next big thing that I want to spend our Solarite on is going to be Deploy Phoenix, which is honestly a really, really cool ability, but we won't get to show it off until most of the end of the game. Alright, time for a come to Jesus meeting.
Jesus? A short time later. These are very non-specific transitions of time. Let's proceed.
The Void Portal within Ulnar has been sealed, but a greater threat looms.
They no longer sell cheesy Cheez-Its.
Transforming our people into a host form.
While we were focused upon Ulnar, he has unleashed the full might of the Golden Armada.
It's like Judicator Aldaris is back.
To eradicate life from planets across the Capulu sector.
Just like Aldaris
Current
did.
forces are not powerful enough to engage the Great Fleet. But Amon's other servants run rampant across the sector.
Then we should strike immediately. Eliminate his outlying forces.
The ancient purifiers were designed for war. If we reactivate them, we can build our armies and destroy Amon's Zerglings in one fell swoop.
That's gonna be a tall order.
They do not turn on us first. The purifiers possess no loyalty, no honor.
You waste time bickering.
Alarak has a good point here.
Threat. I alone can challenge Malash for the right to rule and bend his army to my will.
Do not forget Mobius Corps. They are rumored to
So
operate
many
from a
threats,
hidden
Mr.
base
Cloud.
where
So
they
many
forge a
threats.
hybrid army to
Well,
serve
just
even
like in
better.
war, like, you know, World War II, there's more than one competing faction. So you have to consider, you know, not just one adversary, but also what other factions would do as a consequence of your actions.
Survival of our people depends on our actions in the days to come.
And just like a chess game, you have to predict what your opponent's best move is before you make your own.
Well, in theory, we'd have to do that. Thankfully, it's a free-form campaign, so all we have to do is choose where we're going next. And we're going to Slain, not because Alarak has a good point, but because he's holding the Void Ray hostage, and I want it, damn it!
We indeed found hope. Now, we must eliminate Amon's armies. Siding with Alarak is indeed a risk.
A very great risk. Thankfully, Alarak doesn't decide to betray us. I'm spoiling that now because although I dislike Alarak, there are good aspects about his character that I should, bring up.
If this alliance can weaken Amon's armies, then it is a chance that must be taken.
All right, to Slain we go.
Well, we've gotten so used to distrusting characters that have the red eyes and the colors of just...
The colors of Amon.
She fucking hates me! La 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 la! I tried so hard.
Then she stabbed me in the back with a side blade. Fucking bitch.
Rakshir. Usurpation by ritual combat cannot be rushed. Its rites demand careful preparations if they are to be accepted.
Except we're not doing those preparations now, are we, Alarak? Fucker.
And you speak of preparation?
I intend to depose Malash, the ruler of an entire people, and bring them under my thrall. You will aid me, and in return, I will remove the Tal'Darim from this conflict. That was our bargain.
That was your fucking demand, bitch. We didn't bargain shit.
Carried out as tradition demands.
This bargain grows less appealing by the moment.
Exactly.
This
Fuck
deal
Alarak.
is getting worse all the time.
Unlike
You're
the Beatles
right.
song.
Billy D. Williams?
Ah, Artanis. I believe I will serve you more.
Vorazun, you already said that one.
Besides, I would rather Alarak remain where he can be watched. Whatever shall we do with this Alarak? He is quite unpleasant.
Very unpleasant. Meh.
With him, it's all about me, me, me. I want to rule. I want this. I want that.
Invoke the challenge of Rakshir. Preparations must be completed, as the decrees of old describe.
You gonna show us those decrees, Alarak?
Malash will surely attempt to interfere.
Yeah. So, for the plot, this mission is actually not very important at all. All that we're really doing for this mission... I'm serious. Alarak just straight up tricks us. We don't need to do this mission for the plot, but it unlocks Void Rays. So, it's honestly one of the better missions. It's honestly one of the better missions for gameplay for the campaign. And we get an interesting gimmick. A gimmick I don't really like, but it is interesting.
Flows and cycles from the chasms of Slain, bringing us closer to the void.
For those of you that have spent enough time playing co-op, you should recognize this. You should recognize this particular gimmick because, yes, as long as the Terrazine Fog is out, Amon has the ability to constitute partial forces against yours. They are significantly weaker. I think they start off at about 20% of their normal power.
Yeah, and they seem to be composed both of Zerg units and Protoss units.
Yes. I believe they can also constitute some Terran units as well, but...
When the Terrazine flows, we must endure the onslaught.
In theory, that's what you're supposed to do. In actuality, the best way to clear this mission is to rush out a second Stargate and just start spamming Void Rays at everything, because Void Rays are a godsend. We finally have access to the literal best unit in the entire game, and I'm going to be abusing the fuck out of it for the rest of the campaign.
Well done, Phase Smith. We will make good use of them.
Pascaret agrees.
Yes. So, Void Rays. Are factually the best unit in StarCraft 2, and I will not be convinced otherwise. Hence, President Gurdet is excited to finally have them. Haha.
And Pascaret is excited.
All right. Void Rays, because they have a couple of downsides that I should bring up. They are relatively slow and they're relatively fragile. However, with Sentry support, you get rid of their fragility and the fact that they're virtual. And once they become immortal, they're relatively high damage per second. Means that they are. It doesn't matter how fragile they are. They just rip through fucking everything. You do want to get a Cybernetics core specifically to get tier 1 weapons and air weapons and air armor, just to make it so that your sentries are don't have to support them as much. Cloud can attest to the fact that Void Rays are a bit hilariously broken though, because look how. All right, this isn't honestly that good good of a showcase of their abilities, but yeah, their ability to defend our base for this mission pretty much on their own is very nice. I don't think I build a second Stargate until we get into the next part, though. Most of the rest of this part is us, setting up for the final push, because we only actually need one push once we get like 10-1-1 Void Rays.
Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but Void Rays attack in a continuous burst of damage.
It's not even a burst of damage; it's a continuous beam.
It's a continuous beam, whereas other units like the High Templars, for example, they
release a psionic burst.
In burst, and they slash and they hack, and the Marines have to,
the Marines have to reload their assault rifles.
So those units can be offset. The total damage that those units can deliver is offset by the timing at which they are killed. Because once killed, if they were about to resume firing, they don't get the damage from fires that did not happen.
Right.
However, conversely, the Void Rays will continue to output damage until the exact moment when they are dead, making them much more efficient, especially in a situation where you expect to lose units.
I'm not entirely sure how accurate that assessment is, but it's definitely how I feel they function. To be perfectly honest, I expect them to have the same damage clock and tick cycle that the Marines have, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, it's especially noticeable when you compare them to melee-oriented units.
Yes, it's very noticeable in comparison to Zealots and Firebats, but Firebats are terrible, and technically so are Zealots. My nose is all of a sudden extremely stuffed. It's not fair.
And painfully. My people will fight with honor, even when we are fighting for you. But first, we must establish our defenses.
Our defenses are mostly established. We've got a photon cannon and a decent ground force. No, right now we're just trying to build our endgame assault force. You could, seriously, 10 or 12 1-1 Void Rays will glide through this mission with no fucking problems.
Yeah. Finally, we have a campaign mission that applies multiplayer lessons. People coming into this for multiplayer ought to be very familiar with how to use Void Rays, because Void Rays are fucking dope.
They are very dope. No, I need to actually start building up some more pylons, though, because our starting supply is limiting how many Void Rays we can put out. The other big consequence that Void Rays have is that they're slightly smaller than capital ships. As such, they eat up, I think it's either 3 or 4 supply per unit. Mind you, they're still better on supply per unit than in technicality either Stalkers or Zealots, because those are both 2 per unit, and they're not nearly as versatile. The Void Ray is just a better scout, okay? A significantly better scout.
There is no limit to the length of its arm.
Yes. As Pascard mentions, the only real problem that the Void Rays honestly have is how long they take to produce. I'm still chrono boosting the starport, and you'll notice I'm only allowed to produce a Void Ray about once every... Well, according to this, it's once every 60 seconds. So with the chrono boost, I think it's once every 45.
Well, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, because Chrono Boost is, I believe, a 20% bonus.
So every third cycle, you get a 4th unit.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
I'm sorry, every fourth. No, every 4th get a 5th unit. Right.
Take down the mothership.
I'm going to attack you this way, and then that way, and then that way, all at the same time.
We have destroyed a Tal'Darim mothership.
Da 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 da.
And then use warp pile. Use call reinforcements in order to pick up the Vespane.
Hello, boys. I'm Alarak.
All right. In the next episode, we will finish Steps to the Rite, and I believe we don't actually start doing Rakshir, but there's a reason for that. Rakshir is one of the missions that took me multiple attempts to actually do, and I trapped this probe. Damn it!
Oh, poor guy. Yep, he's
there. We have freed the probe.
Hey. Use those pathways.